avoiding some very cringy faux pas that you might not even realize that you're setting yourself up for. I know. I love this. Thank you so much for joining us again on Second Act TV. Once again, I want to welcome back Treva Brandon Scharf, the dating coach, podcast host, and author of Done Being Single. Thank you, Treva, for being here again.
I love it, and thank you.
Well, Treva, we often, have talked about the elusive first dates, all the first date issues, what to say, what not to say. And today's another one of those, and that is avoiding some very cringy faux pas that you might not even realize that you're setting yourself up for. As usual, I love finding these articles that I think make great discussions, including this one, who happens also to be a therapist. She outlines 8 different scenarios, faux pas that just floored her, and they floored me to some extent as well. So we'll get your comments and input on that.
I think with all of our topics, and anytime you and I start talking and we go over certain rules, I think everybody has to remember that there are no hard and fast rules. Okay. Nothing is written in stone. There is just what we consider decorum and discretion. It's up to you, and make sure that you are not so self-conscious that you are either inhibiting yourself, or you're so uptight, or you're so worried about saying the wrong thing, because first dates are a little nerve-wracking, right? And we ultimately want your beautiful essence to shine through anyway. So just keeping that in mind.
Yeah, I think what I liked about this is that just an awareness to scenarios, innocent scenarios you might be creating that you're not thinking about. Number one, boy, I can identify with this. I haven't dated anyone since my ex.
Sure. Whoa, wow, yikes. I don't know what even that means. Does that mean feel sorry for me? Does that mean I'm super damaged goods? Or does that mean like you're going to have to measure up, babe?
I said that when I first started dating again, and I didn't think anything of it, because it was my first date. Since I split up, I'm happy that I'm out there. I wasn't jaded. But I did. I said, you're the first guy I've dated here on this. And he immediately became very uncomfortable. And I couldn't quite understand why. I thought it was a compliment that I picked him.
Okay. There's an addendum to that. Okay. Yeah. If you say that, I would say add to that, you're the first person I've dated since my breakup or my divorce, or since my ex. And pardon me if I'm a little awkward. Yeah. Pardon me, excuse me if I'm a little clumsy. I think that's really disarming. A little vulnerability is sort of adorable anyway, and it gets the job done, right? It's the truth. And it sort of takes the edge off the pressure. And it also is a moment of honesty, truthfulness.
I would almost, I wonder what you think about this, and I'll ask our audience too. I would almost say, don't say that at all. Don't say that this is the first. Now, if they ask you, if you're specifically asked about it, or it comes up to where that would be lying, then be honest. But to volunteer that, or you're my first, or I just, just started this, it just, especially for somebody who's been doing it a while, it's a red flag, because they know you're going to keep dating, and right. I think it causes more problems than it.
I mean, ultimately, it's no one's business,
right?
If you're the first or the whatever 10th, but it can pop out of it can fly out of your mouth. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm a little rusty. I mean, it's not the most horrible thing, but don't say it.
Yeah, and you made a good point. It's what does that mean? Because if you say X, like what I said was just, this is my first date on Match. I didn't, but that's true. That's an added little yellow or light red flag or whatever. Since my ex, that means the X popped in. So anyway, enough on that. But don't open up that scenario. Don't create that scenario. This is another one. this happened to me. I think I love you.
Yeah, that happened to me too. That is, it's love bombing. I mean, that's love bombing. That's someone who is a little maybe unstable.
Mhm.
You could feel strong feelings, just don't say it. You don't love that person. You don't know that person. Keep
Right.
the I love yous and the I want to take care of yous and the no, way down the line.
The reason I really wanted to bring this up when I saw this is because, and she says this too, she cannot believe how often this happens, how many times people do this, which really is in a way is unbelievable. Like with me, what happened, like the guy told me, goes, oh, I think I'm falling in love with you. And the next
Yes.
day he says, I called my mother last night. I told her I'm falling in love. As like, oh my God, that was a huge turn off. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yes, a little scary, a little overwhelming, too much,
Yeah.
too soon.
Yeah, exactly. I love this one. And people do it all the time. Again, to some extent, I've even done this. I usually go for really skinny people. And again, she says here that it blows her mind how many times she hears something like this, and not necessarily just skinny people, but uh, commenting on somebody's body type or comparing somebody to the person that you're with.
Bad move, bad form, bad taste, just bad across the board. Not necessary. You can think it. Again, so much of this is like thought bubbles, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't need to hear that. Nobody needs to feel like, oh no, I'm not tall enough, or I'm too short, or I'm too heavy. Yikes, what am I going to do about that? I can't
Mm-hmm.
grow.
Well, I guess in a way, this was meant like as a compliment in some sense. I think
Oh
was
yeah,
the
right.
implication is that I usually go for a, but man, with you, I can date a fat chick or something. I mean, I don't. It's just kind of crazy a little bit, or
Yeah.
or outside my body. It just leaves the other person wondering, how am I being assessed if
Oh,
you have to
it's
say something like that.
yeah, way to go. Way to make the person feel self-conscious.
Yeah.
Yikes.
This is another good one. I'm honest and I say what's on my mind. She
Okay.
points out here right away. Yeah, that's usually said after somebody just did something really inconsiderate.
Yeah, I have an issue with this. This is like, no, you don't have a license to be, and I don't even want to get into this, but I just wrote an article about, bad behavior
Mhm.
and thinking that it's okay to get away with speaking your mind
Mhm.
because no, there's something called decorum, everybody. Okay, great. You're a straight shooter. That's fantastic. But there is something called self-awareness, and discretion is the better part of valor.
Yeah.
No, you can't, that is not, again, give you license to be an outspoken jerk.
Yeah, exactly. And it does not put you on higher moral ground by stating
No.
that, and that really is that's what comes across. Maybe you didn't mean it that way, but yeah, you look, I speak my mind because I'm really honest and I'm open.
So yes, I have a big issue with that because I think there's a bigger problem in the world right now with decency and civility and respect. And
Right.
so,
Mhm.
yes, I think we all have to be mindful of that. We're not young. We're not just, born yesterday.
Here's another one, kind of goes with the I love you, but you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen. Now, that can actually be said in like they mean it. Oh my God, you're beautiful. And again, you might think it, but you want to hold back on that a little bit, don't you?
Yes, of course, thought bubbles,
Yeah.
keep it to yourself. By the way, I just had a thought as I'm preaching to everybody about minding their manners and keeping their mouths. And she who drops the F-bombs every 5 minutes. So anyway, yes, you are so gorgeous. All that. That's so nice. You can think it. You can convey it in other ways. But in the first date, we're talking first date to say those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Again, a little bit in the love bomber territory.
Yeah. And it cheapens the compliment, even if you mean it. It just absolutely cheapens it. If you really think, if you're just blown away by the beauty for whatever, whatever reason, is that means so much more. Once you've gotten to know that, that if there's reason to say that is not just, maybe what your physical features are or whatever. But here's one you love. I know you love, you and I I think we have a little bit of different opinion on this, but I voted for that you just want to stay away from politics on the first date. You want to stay away, that it just doesn't, it never really takes you anywhere good, unless, even if you're on the same page. It's just that, it's a heavy discussion.
Yeah, I think we have filters now on apps and whatnot that will establish what your political affiliation is, which is great. Get it out of the way. That's done. Okay, I know who I'm dealing with here. But I have a client who told me the other day that he took someone out to dinner. It could have been, I think it was the first date. And he took her to dinner, which is kind of gutsy, right? Because to commit and
nowadays, especially.
Right. And on her way to the table, she said, I never date a Democrat, which he was, and it just kind of like, wet towel, blanket. Okay. It's going to be a long night. Okay.
Yeah, it's the whole political thing, especially at this, time of year where we are, it's just bad, and there's ways to get around it. People have very strong feelings about it. I mean, I agree. Where we do agree is, you don't really want to go down that road. It's very difficult to stay open-minded and go down that road. I think maybe where you and I, or at least in the past, have disagreed a little bit is on the first date. Like, I think you want to bring it up right up front because you don't even want to go there, or am I misinterpreting that?
Yes, again, we should know before we show up. I can't, I would, because it's important to me. So, but yes, I can see where it would be a total boner killer to show up and find out that they're on the opposite side of the aisle.
Yeah, especially if it's extreme, the extreme, and that goes for both sides.
Yes.
It's like, it's just,
it's overcomable. I mean, it's overcomable. I hear it all the time. I have clients dating opposite people all the time, and they're keeping it under control and not talking about it. And good. I mean, if you can do it, great.
Yeah. I'm going to link to I Love You, But I Hate Your Politics. We both interviewed Dr. Jeannie Safer and her husband, Richard Brookhiser, and great advice in there that, but it's difficult. It is difficult. So just, and you said the key words, don't talk about it. The only way you can really deal with it, if you are on opposite sides, is to not talk about it. And we'll leave it at there. We won't talk about that anymore. This one, you probably wouldn't know or haven't heard of. To phrase anything you probably wouldn't know or haven't heard of is not a good way to start.
Well, unless that person has some inside information or is more knowledgeable about a certain topic or has some level of expertise, I go ahead, enlighten me. But if it's done as a way to make me feel what's condescending or inadequate, or that's not cool.
Yeah. That's not cool. Like, I'm smarter than you is the way it comes across. You're right. And there's a lot of stuff I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think just from building rapport on a date or, a first meeting or something like that, is just, I have something that, what I find really, really super interesting. I heard this the other day. Let me tell you about it. Not assuming or making a huge assumption or even an apology or setup for an assumption that I would never know this or understand it. But there's a lot of condescension that does happen, goes around.
Yes, I will speak to that because I can understand on a first date, people are nervous, they're insecure, you're self-conscious, There's a lot of things that you would do and say that you normally wouldn't because it's heightened, and who can blame you? And yeah, there might be a moment where you're feeling like, I need to prove myself. I need to prove my intelligence or I want to impress this person. That's okay. I mean, I wide berth. I give so much wiggle room on a first date because we're not ourselves. But like this segment right now is super important because it does, we're not here, people, I'm talking to you, to get you so nuts, to get you so crazy in your head, like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. Okay. This is all food for thought.
Right.
And this, I like these questions because they are making me think about, wow, where am I coming from when I answer these questions, or where am I coming from when I pose these questions? So that's all that we really need to do on a first date anyway. It's just food for thought.
I like that. I like that. It's a great way. That's fun. And okay, this one I couldn't resist leaving in. And she says, yes, somebody actually said this to me within the first 15 minutes. I've been wearing a butt plug all day.
Shut the up. They did not say that.
This was left in here as a joke, but it actually happened. She said this actually happened. I think she makes the point, don't talk about sex on the first date if you got, but I've been wearing a butt plug all day. Who would say that?
Someone with a very perverse sense of humor. I mean, please tell me.
What are you sitting on?
God.
Oh, this made me laugh so hard when I really needed to laugh. I didn't expect that. Again, the takeaway on that particular point, why we left it in, leave the sex stuff to another time. Even if you think the person's open-minded, if you're open-minded, and open-mindedness about sex is great. My goodness, we have great conversations on this channel, but you're tuning in. You already know what you're tuning in for. You're not, we're not throwing it on you. Like, okay, today we're going to talk about daisies. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing a butt plug. We have it, put it in a context where people can take it. I know. I love this. And on that note, Treva, anything else you want to add before we close?
I get to see it now. Oh, excuse me. I just can't get comfortable. Okay, what was the question? What else would I say? To close this segment, be prepared for someone to say, so why are you single? It's going to happen. It will. They're going to ask you that. If not the first question, maybe the second, or it puts you on the spot.
Sure. Why are you single? How come nobody snapped you up yet?
Okay, which is a nice backhanded compliment. Right. And I would also add, have that answer ready for anywhere you go. Thanksgiving, family functions, weddings, anywhere, have that answer ready and like an elevator pitch. Have it polished and ready to go because you will be asked.
Yeah, exactly. We can do a whole segment on that one. So Treva, thank you so much. As always, I will link to all of your information to your website. If you're in the need of some coaching, maybe you can resonate with some of the things that you've heard here today. We have the link right in the show notes for Treva's coaching. And make sure you put down their Second Act TV.
Yes, so there is a space for how did you hear about me? And if you've heard about me through Second Act, I will offer a little something special. Contact me and let's get going.
Treva, again, thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you so much. Love you. Love you. Love the viewers.